This is a HeadGum podcast.
Hello and welcome to The Complete Guide to Everything, a podcast about everything. I'm one of your hosts, Tom.
And I'm Tim.
Tim, how are you doing this week?
I was sleepy, but I'm not anymore.
Great. That's what a couple of beers will do.
No, I had
Wake you right up.
Tom, I had a Coca-Cola before I came here.
Okay. Classic?
Of the Mexican variety.
Wow, a Mexican classic? Because
Yeah.
they also have Diet Mexican.
Sure.
I think it might be called Coca Light down there.
Really?
Well, in some places they call it Coca-Cola Light because not
Coca Light?
Yeah, well, for short.
Yeah.
The way we would say a Coke Light, they would maybe say Coca Light.
I'm confused by the Coca-Cola product line.
Okay.
In 2023.
I can lay it all out for you.
So you got Coca-Cola Classic.
Yes.
Now, they don't even have to say classic anymore because it's been 35 years since New Coke, right?
Yeah.
So they had the New Coke debacle.
And then that became Coke 2?
Yeah.
Like a Roman
and
numeral
they
2?
Sunset that.
Yeah.
And you were all upset because you wanted to drink New Coke for the rest of your
I
life
was a
because Dr.
child at the
Cosby
time.
endorsed it. And so they went
Tim,
to,
let me again point out that you are the one that is referential and always refers to Bill Cosby as Dr. Cosby.
Tom, I think he's a despicable man, but you call people their
By
proper
the
titles.
honorary degree they've been gifted to give a graduation speech.
Tom, I think it was probably more than that. I think he donated a lot of money.
Probably not. I could see him being real tight with his money.
Yeah. Well, good thing because his career fell apart and the residual stuff coming
It is a good thing. Thank God he's all right.
Thank God he didn't give his money to charity.
Yeah.
So, okay. And then when I was a kid,
Yeah.
it was just Coca-Cola, caffeine-free Coca-Cola,
Yeah.
Diet Coke, and caffeine-free Diet Coke.
Yes.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Now you got zeros. You got zero sugar.
No, zero is zero sugar.
Okay.
They just changed the name.
Oh. Okay, is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
Those are all my questions.
What's the difference between Diet Coke and Coke Zero?
Diet Coke, I believe, uses NutraSweet.
Okay.
And Coke Zero uses
Splenda? Or
Yeah,
something?
Splenda,
Okay.
whatever that chemical is called.
Gotcha.
So basically, it was like, a sweeter chemical that has 0 calories came about, but they had learned from the Coke to New Coke debacle, like, we got to keep Diet Coke on the shelf still. It causes a lot of problems in my home, Tim, because my fiance is a big Diet Coke drinker, and I'm a big Coke Zero sugar drinker. So
Now, when you mentioned fiance, so when you go to the priest
Yes.
and talk about like all the planning for your marriage, is that a gap that he thinks that you have to bridge?
I mean, I'm putting all my faith in his hands that he'll be able to tell us how we should do that. I mean, and presumably he has a lot of experience with relationships, so he'll be able to offer some of his
That's the
insight.
guy you want, giving advice.
A 70-year-old virgin.
Okay, so it's not that confusing.
No, I mean, there are a lot of, it is
But
a little
then
confusing.
now here's what's going to happen. Because Mexican Coke,
Yeah.
is that really imported from Mexico, or are they bottling this and saying it's Mexican Coke because it has real sugar and not corn syrup, which Coca-Cola Classic has?
Yeah, I think it's probably still bottled in Mexico. It's probably bottled somewhere right by the border, though, and
Right.
just, shipped right
Yeah.
over.
Because at what point is Coca-Cola in the U.S. going to be like, all right, we got to start manufacturing a full sugar version?
I believe they've experimented with it. I know Pepsi has. I'm pretty sure Coke has. And the thing is, they're afraid to put it out there because they don't want the implication that regular Coke isn't, the best thing you can buy.
Isn't the gold standard.
Yeah. So if all of a sudden there's, Coca-Cola with real sugar. I mean, I think also like Coca-Cola, if you mention anything with sugar, they're like, shh, we don't focus on the fact that there's like...
We make healthy choices, and Coca-Cola is part of a diet that contains healthy choices.
Yeah, so they don't want to come out
a thimble full of Coca-Cola a month.
Yeah.
With a bunch of fresh fruit and vegetables is very, very healthy.
Yeah, they don't want to come out and just be like, no, this is a better version than the Coke we mostly sell, which if you weren't aware, we don't put sugar in it. We save a few cents by just putting mashed up industrial grade corn in there.
That's all it is. They just mash up some corn.
Yeah,
mix it into
my understanding.
into the bubbles.
Yeah, but I was gonna say it was confusing because the when Coke Zero was around, then Pepsi Max was their version with Splenda in it.
Right.
But now it's Pepsi Zero Sugar and Coke Zero Sugar. And I think there must be some, I don't know if it's like during the Cold War when like Reagan had a red phone that would get him Gorbachev directly. If like the president of Pepsi and the president of Coca-Cola, they could just talk and be like, look, it'll be easier if we both can just say zero sugar.
How often do you think the CEO of Coca-Cola and the CEO of PepsiCo talk? Several times a year, right?
I would think so. I would think they probably have like a very interesting relationship.
They got to be a little bit above the fray, right?
Yeah, because they're probably both like...
They're diplomats at heart, right?
Yeah. And I think they both got to be like, look, I'm making a ton of money. You're making a ton of money. Everybody's happy.
Just don't let RC in the room, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Whenever they meet the CEO of RC Cola, they're like, hey, asshole. Like, the Pepsi guy will go on all fours behind the RC guy, and the Coke guy will just push him over.
The RC guy shows up to the meeting. He's overweight and sweaty. He's like trying to tuck his shirt in as he's walking.
The pen exploded in his breast pocket.
I'm real sorry, fellas. The car wouldn't start this morning. And they're like, oh, no, it's no trouble at all. And they're laughing to each other.
Yeah.
They make me sick, those two.
Elitist.
Yeah, but there are a lot of...
men.
I was reading a thing today, Tim. I try and keep up with the soda news. I try and read at least one article about soda a day. I was reading an article about the Pepsi Freestyle machines, which I don't know what your opinion of that machine is, but I think it's overrated.
I know about the Coke freestyle
Coke,
machine.
that's what I'm talking
okay,
about.
I was
Sorry.
like, holy crap! Pepsi has the same thing, and they call it a freestyle machine. I do think I think it pulls back the veil of how similar all of these soft drinks, all the product lines taste, and you think you're gonna like. Freestyle machine. Basically, it's got all the flavors that of Coke that you can have.
Like Coke and Sprite, like all the Coke products.
Yeah, all the Coca-Cola family is there.
Mm-hmm.
And you can mix and match and like create some concoctions.
Yeah.
And I think it's the danger here is that it's always underwhelming because you're like, oh, I'm going to stumble on a concoction of and whatever their root beer is plus a cherry Coke plus... And
I'll be invited to that meeting next year with all the bigwigs.
Yeah, I'm not going to that meeting. I know it's one of those dinner for schmucks situation.
You're always afraid of being invited to a dinner for schmucks situation.
Hey, it's that trepidation has not steered me wrong.
The RC Cola guy brings you along.
Oh my God!
Just so they leave him alone.
The indignity of it all. How do you feel about these freestyle machines?
I am frequently disappointed with them just because I find that they're often like out of service or they're
poorly
maintained. Lot of syrup.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to go to this McDonald's a bunch that had two of them, like serve yourself freestyle machines and nothing else. And it was mayhem because the machine takes so much longer than a regular soda dispenser would because you have to tap and select like at least, I don't know, 3 to 4 different things before it will dispense your soda.
Right. Tom, I have a controversial opinion
Okay.
about what you just said.
What is it?
I don't think a freestyle machine has any place in a standard McDonald's.
No, I don't think so either.
I think it should be special occasions.
Yeah. Amusement
maybe,
parks.
Yeah, amusement parks, movie theaters, a McDonald's in Times Square. Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, some run-of-the-mill McDonald's. No, the machine's too powerful.
Well, and then you've got two soda dispensers when usually those places have, I don't know, at least like 10. 10 people can be getting sodas at the same time. Anyway, that's not what this article was about. Well, it was about the Coca-Cola freestyle machine, but it was about how Coca-Cola uses that data to come up with like new flavors that they bottle and sell.
So they're watching the buttons that I press.
Yeah, they've got the matrix scrolling down in front of a guy.
So what do they see? Like they see, oh, this guy's doing cherry Coke with the burst of orange in it or whatever.
Well, they gave a few examples of products that have made it to market, and they pointed out that all these products are still on the market.
Okay, but how do they decide? Is it like we see a lot of people?
Yeah, we see a lot of people. Making.
There's not
this.
just some guy in R&D that like gets a printout of everything that everybody makes, and he has to take a sip of it and be like,
"No, I mean, I'm sure
that's not it."
I'm sure they do a taste test themselves. Why not? I mean, that's got to be one of the perks of the job. But I think also they probably have some method of. Okay, there might be one combination that a bunch of people are thinking is going to be good, but it's not actually good. So we want to make sure we're not, just jumping the gun on this stuff.
Right.
But the big example, the big success story is Cherry Sprite. But
I mean, after the success of Cherry Coke, wouldn't you try just like, let's put cherry in our entire line in the boardroom one day and see how it goes? Actually, none of those people. When's the last time do you think the CEO of Coca-Cola drank a sip of soda?
Oh, I bet he's like, I bet he drinks it all the time, but he's got some kind of apparatus to take it out of him at the end of the day.
And the RC Cola guy just guzzles it down. And the Pepsi
guy hasn't had a sip of water in 20 years.
As a bucket.
One of the other flavors, which I can't remember if I've seen, because if I did, I would have definitely tried it, is orange vanilla Coca-Cola. Which also sounds, it's like a creamsicle. I don't know if it would go well with the Coca-Cola.
When I was a vanilla Coke boy.
Yeah. Oh,
it was in my diner days, Tom.
Yeah.
I'd always get it at
the
diner.
real vanilla Coke.
Yeah.
I just remember when vanilla Coke came out, I think they put something in like the first few batches, like cocaine or something very addictive, because I could not get enough of it.
Yeah. What year was vanilla Coke hitting the market?
2002, 2003, I
yeah,
want to
that
say.
seems about right.
Yeah.
I think those summer days.
I think it might have been the summer of 2002.
Summer days, vanilla Coke, out of the can. Summer nights, Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Straight from the bottle. Tim, this week we're talking headaches.
Yeah, unpleasant.
They are unpleasant. Well, and for some people, they're dangerous.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
And,
All right. We'll see you next week.
When a part of you hurts, it can be bad.
And sometimes it can mean nothing at all. Sometimes it could be deadly.
Yeah.
That's just the way bodies are. If you don't like it, hit the bricks.
If you don't like it, go listen to another podcast. That'll tell you that everything's fine when you feel bad.
If you don't like it, upload yourself to the Matrix.
Or the machine in that Johnny Depp movie.
Or a Coca-Cola freestyle machine.
Yeah.
Tim, how often...
A sentient freestyle machine.
No, that's a terrifying thought.
He'd be like a bartender, and you go up to him and like you talk to him for a while. You tell him his problems. And you're like, I tell you, Mac, my wife, I don't think she loves me anymore. I tell you, Mac, I think she's two-timing me. And then
He's
freestyle
like, have you ever had an orange Barks? They're like, that is exactly what I needed.
Exactly what I needed. Gave you the courage to go.
to divorce my wife. Tim, how often do you have headaches, would you say?
Not often.
Okay, well, that's a good thing.
Yeah. I don't think I had a headache until I was like 17 or 18 years old.
I'm sure you had one sooner than that. But yeah, I mean, when you're young, you don't
why
really give a
why
shit.
do you say that?
Because I'm sure at some point in the first 17 years of your life, your head hurt at some point.
Not from a headache. Maybe I bonked it.
Yeah, and that gives you a headache.
No,
a
not
headache.
I'm talking about an acute pain for in the localized place where my head got bonked.
Yeah, an ache in your head.
No, Tom, that's not a headache. Now, this is.
So you're telling me if I punched you in the head right now, you wouldn't call that a headache? The feeling you have afterwards?
What I'm saying is, in the first 17 years of my life, if you punched me in the head, for the second that your fist collided with my head, I would feel pain. But after that, no pain.
Wow.
Yeah. So would you call that a headache?
I don't know. That sounds like some kind of unbreakable situation.
Yeah. You didn't know? For the first 17 years of my life, I was unbreakable.
Is that true? I
Yeah.
mean, it checks out. As far as I know, you never broke.
And now my bones are made of glass.
Yeah, and you are very brittle now. Tim, there are two types of headaches. I didn't realize this. Well, and I would say three types, the third being getting hit in the head.
All right.
The first, and well, at least there are two most common types: tension headaches and migraine headaches. Now, here's the difference. Tension headaches strike when the muscles in the head and neck tighten. Migraines come on when supersensitive nerve endings in the brain create pain.
What about sinus headaches?
Tim, are you sitting down?
You can see me. I'm sitting right.
According to Women's Day magazine, there is no such thing as a sinus headache.
What?
Over 90% of people who
See,
think...
this is why, look. This is why they're trying to get more women into STEM. And I'm saying it's a mistake. Because then they go and write articles and say that a sinus headache, which I get frequently, doesn't even exist.
So get women back out of science.
If they're going to write articles like this.
Well, Tim, let me explain to you. I looked. Luckily for you, there's a quote from a man here, so maybe you'll believe it. Over 90% of people who think they have sinus headaches, not sinus infections, actually have migraines. The others are probably experiencing tension headaches. Migraine pain is often located over the sinuses, which is why people frequently mistake it for sinus pain, says Brian Grossberg, MD, a director at Montefiore Headache Center.
Listen, Dr. Grossberg. See, I don't respect him, but I'm still referring to him by his proper title.
So you would put, where would you rank him as far as Dr. Cosby is concerned?
Worse. He's worse than Dr. Cosby.
Level of respect he deserves.
He's a worse human being because, Tom, why is it... So I get migraines around my sinuses when also I got goop coming out of my nose.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else. Because he also said if you get better with so-called sinus medications, it's because these contain a pain reliever. For long-term relief, you'll need specific migraine treatment. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Is he telling me I never feel pressure in my sinuses?
I think he's telling you that pressure isn't what's causing the headache. I mean, look, I'm with you, Tim. I get what I assumed up until today were sinus headaches all the time. That's actually like one of the only types of headache I think I ever kind of get.
Yeah.
And they're very annoying because, like you said, it's also, oh, great, my eyes are watery and I'm having to blow my nose 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And
you feel the pressure.
Yeah, you feel the pressure. But it's a migraine, apparently. It's not. It's not
this guy. So Women's Daily Women, what is
Women's Day, not Women's Daily. A daily newspaper just for women. First off,
What happened was they sent a foxy reporter down to the hospital to talk to this doctor. This doctor got all flustered and was trying to impress her.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, there's no such thing as a sinus headache.
Oh,
you
here's
just
an
need a
interesting fact.
massage.
Yeah,
A simple massage will fix that for you. Hop up onto my table here."
you creep.
Yeah.
Be locked up, just like the other
Are
doctor.
we gonna have to bleep this guy's name out of this podcast now?
He's right, of course.
Yeah, I mean, he's a doctor. He went to
he
med
knows
school.
more than me.
I would like more follow-up information there, because if like somebody's telling me, "Oh no, that's not a sinus headache you're having, it's a migraine," I feel like this Women's Day is like glossing over that. It's like, "Oh, but sinus
This Women's Day.
but sinus
It's a popular magazine, Tom.
but sinus pressure or whatever can trigger a migraine."
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. It's something like that, and they just left that out.
Yeah,
Because
I mean that's implicit in what you read to me.
Yeah. Have you ever had like a real migraine?
I've had a handful
Mm-hmm.
of migraines in my life, and that stinks. Have you had a migraine?
Only like a couple of times in my life, and yeah, it's awful. It feels really bad.
It feels bad. There's a pain in my head. There's an ache in my head when it happens.
Yeah. But at the same time, you know anybody who like gets a lot of migraines?
Yeah, and you think it's fake a little bit?
It's not that I think it's fake. It's just that like
It's a little dramatic.
well, there are two people that I know of that are enemies of mine that get migraines a lot. And they're enemies of mine because they're very annoying people.
Right.
And they get migraines, and it's like, I feel like that's just another way for you to be annoying.
I can't concentrate on anything you say now. I'm just trying to think of who these people
I'll
are.
tell you who they are off mic. But I think that, and I think because especially now we're hearing migraine headaches are very common.
Right.
Now because I always kind of gave a like a blanket, like, oh yeah, I've only really had a migraine once or twice. And maybe they weren't even real bad ones. So I'll give the benefit of the doubt to people that say they have, horrific migraines, because I don't know what that's like. But now I'm like, oh, maybe I do know. Wait, it's just a sinus headache? Yeah, that's bad, but
No, like a severe migraine, Tom.
Yeah.
I
No,
would
I
wish
know,
on
yeah,
my worst enemy, no matter how annoying they are, Tom.
Tim, one of the people, Adolf Hitler.
Oh.
You wouldn't.
He was annoying.
You wouldn't wish a migraine on Adolf Hitler even.
Guess I would. I got a migraine at work one time, like a long time ago, decades ago, half my life ago.
Wow.
And
so not too long after you were 17.
Yeah. It was one of my first headaches.
so things went downhill real quick.
Yeah, and I had to leave work. I thought I was dying.
You went from no headache to within 3 years having a migraine headache.
Yeah, and this was probably the worst headache, definitely, that I had had up until that point, maybe my entire life, because I was like, oh no, I'm having like an aneurysm or something, right? Mm-hmm. No, and then I hate having a migraine.
I know my brain's done growing by this point.
It wasn't, though, Tom.
Oh, okay. That's
I told
what it
you,
was?
the doctors say my brain will never stop growing. I just get smarter and smarter.
What a hellish existence here.
That's what. Never mind. So I went home from work, and as bad as a migraine is, you know when the migraine like breaks and like the pressure relieves?
Yeah,
or
and
something?
it's kind of like scary almost.
I think it's great. It's like everything deflates, and you're like, it's over. But also, sometimes you get really nauseous when that happens. You know what happens? So I was living at my parents' house at the time. Mm-hmm. I was young, and I went home from work, and I was like, and then the migraine ended, and as I was walking from my car into the house, so I was going through the backyard, I barfed all over the backyard.
Wow. Yeah.
Nobody thought the headache episode would be talking about barf.
I mean, they might have. Yeah, you can barf if you have a bad headache.
Yeah.
I do want to say, like, I was like joking before. I know migraines can be like really, really bad.
Yeah, those emails are already drafted and in our
Those
inbox.
emails are already written.
The complete guide to everything at gmail.com.
No, because like I know, the like extreme sensitivity to light and stuff, and and I've heard it described. I mean, like I said, I think I've had like one or two in my life, and it was a long time ago. Maybe it was around the time you had yours. And I remember it being like, oh, this feels like an ice cream headache that's not stopping.
Yeah, I mean, you put everything in the category of frozen treats. That's how you can process things.
This feels like an ice cream headache. I didn't even get to eat any goddamn ice cream.
Yeah. I know what you mean. One of the earliest things, before I even knew what a headache felt like.
You were so young and naive.
I remember being on the bus, going to second grade.
Yeah.
And my friend Sean
said he had a headache, and you were like, "Those don't exist."
No, even better, Tom. And this might be the key to why you think those annoying people are being dramatic. Sean had not been in school the day before, and he walked on the bus, and I was like, "Oh, were you sick yesterday?" He's like, "Yeah, I had a headache." I was like, "Oh, you can stay
like,
home."
That's not sick.
And he was like, you know what he's like, I actually had a headache, but what I figured out is your mom can't check
if you have a headache
or not. So if you ever don't want to go to school, say you have a headache, it's not like she can take your temperature and be like, you actually don't have a headache.
Right. And it's not like she'll ever stop believing you.
I mean, Sean was a very diligent student. You know this. But I remember just being like, huh.
Yeah,
and I wonder what a headache.
Get an award for for not missing school?
A perfect attendance award?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe.
I thought maybe he did. So it's like, yeah, all right, good advice that you're not going to take.
Yeah, I know. He wanted to.
He just wanted to pass along the secret.
And I thought that, I mean, same bus trip, same year, he taught me the lyrics to Rockin' Robin.
Wow.
And, it goes,
fruitful. You learned a lot that year.
Yeah, he's like, all the little birdies on Jaybird Street. Go tweet or something.
Oh, you didn't commit them to memory.
No. But then, and he was telling me this information on the bus, and then the bus gets to his stop, and he gets off. And as he's walking off, he stops halfway down the steps to the bus, and he goes, "Remember, Tim, Jaybird Street."
Why did he tell you to remember that?
Because that's part of the lyrics. It's
remember the whole thing.
All the little birdies on Jaybird Street. Yeah. To him, maybe that was like the hardest part to remember.
Isn't that like the first line in the?
He rocks in the treetops all day long.
All the little birdies on Jaybird Street. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was like the fifth line.
Yeah. So what does it matter? He just thought of it.
It doesn't sound like it worked.
And to this
remembered that line. He didn't remember the rest of the song.
Exactly. That's because he reinforced it before he left.
He should have stopped and said, "Remember, Tim," and sung the whole song to you again.
Yeah, we didn't have time for that.
Yeah. I could imagine the bus driver wouldn't.
The bus driver kicked me one time.
I'm sure you deserved it.
Yeah, I was making fun of a girl who said Lello instead of yellow.
And you got kicked?
Yeah, it was as we were walking off the bus.
Yeah, kicked you down the stairs?
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's when you got your first headache? Smashing your head on the curb. They're getting kicked out of the bus by the bus driver. Headaches.
Bad.
Tim, we talked about migraines, tension headaches. Well, I've got a little bit more to say about that. But there are other types of headaches, Tim.
You told me that there were two headaches.
Well, I told you those are the most
What
common.
is an ice cream headache? So you're saying that all the headaches fall into either migraine or tension?
No, I just said those are the most common. I don't know if they included ice cream headache. I would think ice cream headache is probably the third most common.
But is it a tension headache or a migraine headache?
I'm gonna guess a.
You didn't say that those. First of all, you didn't say that those are the two most common. You said there are two types of headaches.
No, and then I corrected myself and said there are two. They are the two most common.
what happens.
Because
when you
then
get
I said the
all
third
your
one.
news from Women's Wear Daily, Tom.
Then I said the third one was getting hit in the head. But now I'm amending that to say those were the most common, but there are other types of headache.
Tom, I hit my head so hard, and like I hit the very top of my head.
Ooh, that's a bad place. Yeah, and the top of your head's still soft.
It's still it's gonna. They say it's gonna come in and fuse any day, but it was on a playground following. So like, in like. It drove my head, like my neck.
Yeah, when you like stand up and it hits that's just like a real bad. Your whole body feels bad.
Yeah, and I was like, "Uh-oh." They're like, my arms started tingling, and I was like, "Oh no, this is more serious."
Yeah, because you've like hit your head, but it's also like and also like 30 different tiny muscles in my body.
Yeah, like a disc slipped in my spine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, that was from Harvard when I was quoting about common headaches being tension and migraine. This comes from the Mayo Clinic, which, you've got to take everything with a grain of salt from them because, we all know at the end of the day, they're trying to push more mayonnaise on people.
Exactly. That's the cure for everything, isn't it?
Yeah, you read through this whole article and, surprise, surprise, at the end, one of the cures, one of the treatment options is mayonnaise.
Be it ingested or rubbed on topically.
But this one, Tim,
or as a suppository.
This is one that my ex-wife suffered from: sex headaches.
Terrible sexual activity.
In rare instances, headaches
from real depraved sexual activity.
Well, listen, I'm going to explain what it is to you. In rare instances, headaches can be brought on by sexual activity, especially with orgasm. You may notice a dull ache in the head and neck that builds up as sexual excitement increases. Or, more commonly, you experience a sudden severe headache just before or during orgasm. Just before, that's awful.
Well, during, that really puts a damper on the festivities.
Yeah, but during...
Because, that's the best part, and then if you have a headache during it...
Right, then it's like, well, what did I go through all this fuss for?
Have a headache? To offset the good feeling, a very bad feeling?
Yeah, I could have just stood up under some monkey bars if I want to feel like this. Most sex headaches are nothing to worry about, but some can be a sign of something serious, such as problems with the blood vessels that feed the brain.
Right. See, that's the dark side of headaches.
Yeah.
It could very well be a brain thing.
Well,
and brain things are generally not good.
Yeah, you never hear about somebody having it's just like a small problem with their brain.
Yeah.
This problem with your brain, just go to the urgent care. They'll be able to take care of it.
Although post-COVID, and not to be this guy, but I feel like there are some people who are just like, and I'm not saying that COVID doesn't exist anymore. I think in a world after COVID-19, there are a lot of people being like, oh yeah, ever since I had COVID, I have this weird thing. I don't think I'm not going to dox this person, but it's just like, oh yeah, I can't tell where sounds are coming from. Like if somebody is standing behind me to the left, sometimes it sounds like it's coming from in front of me to the right. Isn't that weird? And it's like, no, that's a brain thing, and you should. And I feel like there's more and more of that stuff when people are like, "Yeah, I lost my sense of taste for 6 weeks, and it still is weird." Weird, right? It's like, no, that's a problem with your brain.
Well, but I think that the problem with all that stuff is that you go to a doctor and they're like, "Yeah, we've heard other people say that too, huh?" Weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe
it's always relayed.
Maybe
as just
we'll
a
eventually
fun anecdote.
Maybe we'll eventually figure out what causes that.
Yeah.
You'll probably have other severe medical problems that are more urgent by the time we figure out why you permanently lost your sense of taste and how we can potentially get that back.
And you can't do a brain cleanse, right? You could do If you have a stomach issue, you can be like, okay, I'm gonna, they have ways to be like, all right, let's flush out your system here.
Right. Your brain always gotta be
Always gotta be
chugging
thinking.
along. Yeah. Then you can go to sleep. Any of these people try going to sleep, see if it helps.
Most of these people haven't slept since they got COVID.
That might be the cause right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a doctor, but
don't sell yourself short. You are a doctor.
I am a doctor. It's an honorary degree. And that's like a common. Like when I had COVID, I had like pretty bad headaches.
Yeah.
Again, I think a headache. It's just. What an annoying thing, huh? Because sometimes a headache's nothing, and sometimes it's like a sign of imminent death.
Yeah.
Or, just somewhere in between, and you can never really tell.
I will say I don't get a lot of headaches, Tom.
No? So the reason why I wanted to do it today was because I had a headache this morning. I get bad.
That's how we pick topics. So it's just like, what is currently
what
right
do I
in front of
feel?
me? Didn't we do an episode on the cold? The cold weather recently? Is that what we want to do? It's like, I don't know, it's kind of cold in here. All right, cold weather it is.
Yeah, and it probably wasn't even actually that cold. It was just like, they didn't turn my heater on.
Yeah,
Tim,
matters in your own hand, Tom.
Look, I like to rip things from the headlines. Rip from the headlines. This morning I had a headache, and here we are.
Finger on the pulse, Tom.
A lot of people, Tim, they don't do anything about their problems, or they just sit around and complain about it. Here I am monetizing my problems. But this is, I think, so I get sinus headaches. Oh, sorry, Women's Day. I get those, but then I get headaches when like the weather's weird, like when the pressure changes.
Like, and does your elbow also act up?
No, actually, I'm surprised because I had...
when I made a joke about being Mr. Glass earlier, you're like, oh, you are very brittle. Tom, nobody has more weird ailment. You had gout, for Christ's sakes. You're a young man.
I was doing the keto. That was what gave me the gout. I wouldn't have had gout on my own.
I don't know. I feel like you got a lot of...
No, I'm telling you, Tim, I saved all the pee strips that showed how many ketones I was peeing out.
Yeah.
And you could see. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Would you go back on the keto diet?
No.
Having gotten gout from
No,
it?
never again after gout. I mean, it worked. Like, I felt great before that happened.
For the gout.
Before that happened, I felt great. I was losing weight. It wasn't very hard. Like, I had, adapted my diet successfully to this, and I forget, there were like a few things that they said like you should be consuming to make sure you don't get gout, but I was like, well, I gotta get gout.
Who gets gout?
Yeah. And I got gout, and it was awful. I would take COVID 10 times before I took gout again. So why'd that come up? I forget.
Because you get weird ailments. Like
I get weird ailments. Well, I was going to say, remember like a couple of years ago, I broke my thumb in a very weird way.
Yeah.
I expected that.
And we never got the full story about what happened.
No, you did. I was trying to
imply that it was something
no, I mean, it
unseemly.
was very stupid where I was trying to get a spider on the ceiling, but thought like I should jump at the same time and just did not... really underestimated, I think, how high I can jump and how low my ceilings are.
Yeah.
And broke my thumb in a very weird,
interesting ceiling setup. I've never really looked.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I look at my ceiling and I'm like, what the hell's going on around here?
Yeah. It's like two reverse ledges.
Yeah. What's in those ledges, huh? Makes you wonder.
Sure does.
But yeah,
slime.
I broke I hope not. I broke my thumb in a weird place, and I was worried for a while because whenever it rained, it would hurt. I felt
an old man.
Yeah, like an old man. And I was worried that was going to happen forever, but I don't think if it happens now, I don't notice it.
Yeah.
So it's fine. But I do get like headaches when there's like a big pressure change, and I hate it.
I don't like headaches.
And they're not like agonize. They're annoying headaches. You know what I'm talking about?
This was the one that you had today.
Yeah, where it's just kind of like always where it's always there in the background, and it's like otherwise I feel fine,
Right.
and I should be able to just like have a good day today, get what I need to get done, but that's just hanging there in the background.
You ever
the whole
take a
time.
pain reliever for it?
Tim, I took a pain reliever for today, which brings me up to my next topic: pain relievers.
Can I tell you something?
What? Yeah, go ahead.
I don't believe in pain relievers.
I know you don't, but then when I tell you, hey, you should take this, you take it and you go, yeah, that worked.
Yeah, I know. But I still think it's psychosomatic. But even if it is,
Right.
and it works, it works.
But it's not psychosomatic because it's a, what do they call that? Nocebo?
What's a nocebo? No, I think what you mean is placebo.
There's a nocebo where
Do-si-do?
I believe it is where something that should work, you don't think will work, and then it doesn't work. So the opposite of a placebo.
Gotcha. Who knows? The brain is a funny thing.
Well, I'm saying that I think if you took, an over-the-counter remedy and you thought, oh, this is going to work, then it's actually kind of surprising that it works.
But maybe if I know that, if I have a negative attitude, this won't work, then it'll kind of be like, oh, now it will work to outsmart me. You know what I mean?
Here's why I think you don't think pain relievers work. I think you take them and they don't immediately work, and you forget that you took it, and then like 20 minutes later you feel better and you've completely forgotten that you took something.
Or that I had any pain to begin with.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's probably accurate. I think you've probably hit the nail on the head there.
Because like I've been with you.
I also don't like people.
I thought you were just going to end there.
I don't like people who are like, I think people stink. It's like, so all right, so go live in the woods.
Tim, you've also frequently said you want to go live in the woods.
I do want to go live in the woods. I don't think it's good. I don't like when people, unless you're taking aspirin for like a heart condition. I just don't. I don't like when people are. I think people take Advil and Tylenol and stuff too much. These pain relievers.
Yeah, that's definitely true, I think.
And I don't
for everyone, of course.
I don't know that it's a bad thing.
Well, it can be, which I'll get into.
Ask Dr. Cosby what he thinks.
Tim,
I'm not going to ask him about any type of pills or anything or any type of
he'll be like,
substances.
oh, no, actually, I have something for that. So I have like a whole list here of prescription drugs for headaches. And like it's interesting actually because like a lot of them are not necessarily like, oh, this is for headaches, if you get what I mean. Like a lot of them are
wink.
Two categories here are beta blockers and calcium channel blockers, which are like
See, I don't think you should be blocking things.
Well, these are for like if you have like high blood pressure,
right?
You take these tricyclics, which I'm not sure what tricyclics are.
Thanks for being honest, Tom.
And anticonvulsants.
Okay,
but again, I think a lot of this is like, people have very serious problems like convulsing, and they're like, all right, first things first, we got to come up with a medicine for that because that's a big problem. And then they come up with that and they're like, oh yeah, this works on other stuff too, okay, and then they just start selling it for other stuff. Like that's whatchamacallit,
Viagra.
Yeah, that was like a blood pressure. Was that for low blood pressure?
I don't know. It was I think it was high blood pressure because I think it was supposed to increase the widen the
arteries or whatever, veins.
Yeah.
And
then they're like,
people
this
kept coming in rock hard.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh yeah, you got veins in your wiener.
They forgot that the doctors.
Well, they were probably so concerned with hearts and stuff. They weren't even
One
thinking
time,
about the
Tom,
winner.
I saw Bill Cosby live in concert.
Oh God.
This was way before all the bad stuff came to light.
Right, but right in the middle of him doing all the bad stuff.
Yeah, probably. I mean, just because I went and saw him live with like 2,000 other people, Tom, doesn't mean that I was like
I guess
complicit.
yeah, it's impossible that 2,000 people could be bad. As everybody else was doing it, so let's all go to the Bill Cosby show.
He had a bit because he's a clean comedian, and he did his dentist bit about the dentist puts a bunch of things in your mouth, and you're like, right?
Uh-huh.
People are going nuts. But then he talked about
running up and down the aisles.
yeah, and then he talked about the side effect of
Quaaludes?
no of Viagra being an erection lasting like 4 or more hours.
Uh-huh.
And then he talked about like going to the hospital because his erection lasted more than 4 hours, and there was a whole bit about that. And I was like,
Wow.
Dr. Cosby.
Yeah, this ain't so clean.
Yeah.
How do you have access to all these pills? So that's the prescription stuff, but let's talk over the counter. Hey, let's
OTC.
talk under the counter. First one, acetaminophen, aka Tylenol, is a generally safe non-aspirin remedy, but doses above 3 grams per day, especially combined with alcohol, can cause potentially fatal liver damage. If you consume 3 or more alcoholic drinks a day, every day, don't take acetaminophen.
Tylenol.
They
They just need to make Tylenol the generic name.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
But also 3 grams, I think that's like a lot of Tylenol.
Is it how much is in a tablet?
I'm going to guess not like a gram.
I have no idea what a gram is.
How?
And I have a
much
kitchen
is
scale.
in a Tylenol. Well, I mean, you can just look at excuse me. You can just look at like the container. You don't need a kitchen scale.
Yeah, no, but you would think I would know. Yeah, I would have a sense of what a gram is because I've been doing some baking lately, Tom.
It looks like
And whenever you're baking, you want to weigh the ingredients.
Tylenol and other acetaminophen drugs often come in strengths of 325 milligrams, 500 milligrams, and 650 milligrams.
So how many milligrams in a gram?
1,000.
1,000.
Yeah.
So
that's not like a crazy amount to have, especially over like a 24-hour period.
yeah.
So be careful out there. And I remember like, as like a college kid, I feel like it was probably after college. In college, I never got hangovers, no matter how much awful alcohol I drank.
got hangovers, but I also had no qualms about sleeping till 3 p.m. So I think I just
might have
slept
just
through
been
all my hangovers.
But then like later, in my like early to mid 20s, I didn't know, you shouldn't be taking this stuff. And I remember being like, oh, I'm going to be smart. I'll take some Tylenol with, this shot of Jaeger, and then I won't be hungover in the morning.
Take some Tylenol instead of just drinking a glass of water at any point in your your entire day.
You know what's crazy? Like, my niece, she's 4, and she goes to school with a water bottle every day.
So does my son. He's 1.
Which makes sense, but I'm like, how come we didn't do that?
Yeah, how come I had no access to water until I was 33 years
here's
old?
the difference. We had water fountains.
Yeah, but come on.
Which is not. But I did find out because she was thirsty, and I think I didn't know. Me and my fiance were taking care of her for a weekend, and I didn't know. I guess I should have a water bottle to bring around with her. But we were at the library, so it's like, oh, there's got to be like a water fountain in here. Well, let's go find the water fountain. You could have sat this girl in front of a space shuttle. That's how confused she was.
I was always like, you want me to do what with this thing? And especially when you're a kid, you're like, okay, I put my whole mouth on it.
She was fine with that. She wanted to use the adult one, the one that's higher up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I can hold you, but I have to hold the button because it was like kind of a big button. It was one of those like front pushing guys. Mm-hmm. So it's like, this isn't, just use the one for kids. I'll hold the button. Anyway.
Did she use the one for kids?
She did use the one for kids.
Did she get her face all wet? That's the thing. Whenever I would drink from a water fountain, I would wind up like soaked head to toe.
No, I was very impressed. She did a very good, just like, did not put her mouth on anything, which was great.
Yeah.
And did not get soaking wet. So, beginner's luck, I would say. But
or maybe she's just, built for water fountains.
Maybe she's just built for water fountains.
Yeah, my son drinks a lot of milk too.
Yeah, all kids love milk.
I have to buy whole milk all the time.
Yeah, I had to give her some whole milk. She's like, I have milk. I think, where are you? Weird.
Yeah. Turns out it's not weird. All kids do it.
Here, have another Coca-Cola. Solution number 2 to headaches: aspirin. Which until like, I don't know, a few months ago, I thought aspirin and Tylenol I thought aspirin was the generic version of Tylenol.
See, that's the thing. And is aspirin the generic name?
Aspirin is like what it's called. I think Bayer is a type of
Bayer
aspirin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Aspirin quells pain and may prevent migraine headaches in some people when taken regularly. Long-term side effects include kidney damage, gastrointestinal problems such as stomach pain, heartburn, nausea. Bleeding from the stomach can also occur, often in such minute quantities as to go unnoticed, which it's like, oh, well, if I'm bleeding from the stomach, do I want to know or do I not want to know?
Yeah, and if it's if you're not going to notice it, then what's the harm? Right?
I think it's more like you might not notice it until one day you like really notice it.
Okay, well, they
and
should
it's
say
because
that.
the aspirin's burned a hole through your stomach.
Right.
However, over time, anemia may result, causing fatigue, which in turn may increase the frequency of headaches. Avoid aspirin if you have reflux, gastritis, or ulcers. And then finally, what I consider the MVP here: non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, aka NSAIDs, NSAIDs, maybe they're called. They include aspirin, which is confusing because we just heard about aspirin, ibuprofen, such as Advil, Motrin, others, naproxen sodium, which is Aleve and Anaprox, and ketoprofen, which is Actron, Orudis, and other. That last one, they were fucking with us, I think. In some people's, NSAIDs may help prevent migraine pain. Their long-term effects are similar to those of aspirin. Advil's what I go for. Ibuprofen. Not the name brand. I'm not a sucker.
Well, here's the thing. Mm-hmm. My house, we have a bottle of Tylenol and a bottle of Advil.
In my house, we have a bottle of red and a bottle of white.
Whatever your mood tonight.
Yeah.
Brenda and Eddie were popular steady.
But you know what? Much like Billy Joel, I'm always in the mood for both.
So we have, my wife asked me
name
for
brand Tylenol.
She's like, can you get me some ibuprofen?
Mm-hmm.
She's like, tell me the brand. I can't keep track of the generic names.
Because it will say ibuprofen on the generic.
In the small.
I can't keep track. You don't know Advil is ibuprofen?
No.
That's a pretty common one, Tim.
Yeah, well, I don't take this
They
shit,
should
Tom.
take that honorary medical degree away from you.
I paid fair and square.
But that's,
I gave a hell of a graduation speech.
That's kind of my go-to. Or should I say it was my go-to? And then I switched to
Aleve. You're an Aleve man, aren't you?
Aleve. I'm an Aleve man now. Aleve's great. It works so well.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it was.
Well,
I thought it was.
No, it's something.
Yeah. It works better for like muscle pain.
Okay.
And
your muscles are so big. They must be so painful to.
I know. That's what's always
around.
happening to me. but it's very good. It lasts a long time, which is what's nice about it.
Right.
Like if I have a headache or something like that or muscle pain, I take that. Might take a little longer to kick in, but then I like forget about it and everything's fine.
Right. Huh, okay, Aleve. I think I am an ibuprofen man. That's Advil?
That's Advil,
See?
yeah.
I think I take that. But sometimes people take 3 at a time.
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, I don't think you should do that regularly, but you can.
I take 1. 1 is always enough for me. Also, because I haven't built up this tolerance.
Well, yeah. But that's the thing nowadays, like when I first got prescribed, I got prescribed Aleve because I was having some weird muscle pain.
See, Tom, and I'm the rickety guy. I'm the glass-boned man. You got prescribed Aleve because you saw a doctor about pain in your muscles?
I didn't know that's what he was prescribing me. So, like, he gave me that, and I was like, this shit's great. Like, you know, I had to pick up the reason why I was
one hand the times I've been prescribed or asked a doctor any type of question whatsoever.
Okay.
Well, no, but I'm the guy with bones made of
Well,
glass.
have fun sleeping in an early grave, Tim. You should ask the doctor about things. He'll give you drugs. But I didn't know what this stuff was. The reason why it was prescription was because it was like a big dose.
And
it worked.
Horse pill?
Yeah. And then, like, when I was like, man, that stuff is great. Like, can I get another prescription for that? He's like, oh, I mean, you just, like, go to the pharmacy and just take 2 instead of 1.
Were you just like, why did you prescribe this?
I was kind of like, well, why? I mean, honestly, it was better.
That bottle cost me $750.
No, I mean,
it was out of network.
Honestly, it was fine because, like, I had insurance, so it was like it was actually, you know, I don't know, $1.
Yeah.
Like, I probably should have just been like, oh no, just give me another prescription. It's cheaper than buying it over the counter.
Right.
But it's pretty cheap over the counter too. So, you know, it all wound up fine.
Hey, this episode sponsored by the Bayer Corporation.
No, they don't. They make aspirin. This is Aleve.
Aleve.
I
They're
mean,
all the same.
I don't know. Maybe Bayer makes Aleve, but I don't buy their brand. I just buy the generic brand.
Yeah.
Let me do the plugs, and I'll tell you what I won't buy the generic brand of.
Oh.
Now, if that doesn't keep people sticking around, I don't know what will. If you like the show, you can find out more at tcgte.com. You can find all our social media links, our Discord, our subreddit links. They're all there. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Tom Reynolds. You can find Tim at Your Pal Tim.
I took a sip at the exact wrong time, and you jumped in.
Like a
perfectly.
pro.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/complete guide. This week, we're starting a new book. It's New Book Week. Atomic Habits by James Clear.
We are going to better ourselves.
Tim, we're going to get new good habits and get rid of the bad old habits.
Yeah.
In 2013, in
People
2023. Oh, boy, I got to go back to the doctor again. You got pills for knowing what year it is?
Christ, Tom.
Patreon.com/complete guide. All the new episodes about Atomic Habits, all the old episodes of Books the Podcast.
We have like
some other fun
ton
stuff.
of episodes of Books the Podcast.
It's a veritable Library of Congress at patreon.com/complete guide. Tim, I feel like there are 2 things I won't buy generic, but the one, which funny enough, you're going to think this is a low-key sponsor, but it's mayonnaise. I won't get generic mayonnaise. I like Hellman's mayonnaise.
I think we've had this conversation on the podcast in the last 4 weeks.
Okay, fine. Whatever.
Tom, I just bought
I want Hellman's to send me a case of mayonnaise.
Yeah. I just bought Kewpie mayonnaise, the Japanese
okay.
mayonnaise.
Uh-huh.
It's made just from the yolk. And it has MSG in it.
Oh, okay.
I learned it from Kenji Lopez Alt. But it's some great.
Who the hell is Kenji Lopez Alt?
He's like a food guy.
Oh, okay. I saw when I was looking at this, I think migraines. They say one of the potential triggers is MSG.
Mm-hmm.
But then I like watched a thing recently about how like a lot of MSG stuff was just kind of like racism.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, MSG is just like a seasoning like anything else.
It's found in seaweed.
Yeah. And it's like monosodium gluconate, something like that. And they're like, yeah, if you refer to things by their chemical name, everything sounds scary.
Yeah.
They're like, nah, it's a seasoning. It's like anything else. It's fine. But I don't know. Maybe it can. I mean, salt can cause headaches for some people, like having too much salt. So it does make sense that I guess MSG could. Food additives. Nitrates found in cured meats. So like hot dogs.
I just feel like anything that like dries you out a little bit is gonna.
Yeah,
maybe that's what it is. It dries out your brain, and your brain needs to be wetter.
I mean, migraine, being around smoke can do it for some people. Smoke's going to dry stuff out. Certain smells, drying. You're getting more air in there. It's making things dry. Bright lights, sunlight dries things up.
Sunlight. Does sunlight make you sneeze?
Yes. You know what that is, right?
No.
That's like a cross wire in your brain.
Oh, really?
It's like a photosensitivity where I forget what percent it is. Do you do that? Does that happen with you?
But I do it like not to be like my son, but like without fail. When any light, like first thing in the morning, if I turn on a light, he'll sneeze like 5 times.
Turn off that.
No, he likes it. He laughs as he sneezes. It's very cute.
It is caused by like basically like I don't think like a cross wire, but like too close of a wire where it's like the neurons or the neural pathway or whatever that makes your pupils get smaller is like too close to what like your sneeze reflex.
Maybe I should go in there and tinker with his brain before the top of his head fuses.
I mean, it couldn't hurt. I mean, at the very least, it'd save a lot of money because once they got to pop the top of the head off,
that's the main cost.
Yeah, that's where they get you.
Okay, what's the other thing that you will not buy generic?
Oh, I think it was just mayonnaise.
You said 2 things.
Yeah, I know.
And I thought we were talking about medicine.
Mayonnaise can be a type of medicine.
The Mayo Clinic.
Yeah. Yeah, why do you think
you're in the pocket of Big Mayo?
I can neither confirm nor deny. But I'll tell you what, I've got Big Mayo in my pocket.
We'll see you next week.
That was a HeadGum podcast.